Hello, third grade, and welcome to Remote Learning Week 6. This week I sent home the story of Isis, Osiris, and Horus, a rather violent tale of revenge. I know it was kind of violent, so I thought I would take a moment and use my computer to delve into this myth a little bit and explain my rationale. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to turn it over to my computer. So this week, you read the story of Osiris, Isis, Set, and Horus. The assignment I want you to do is read the story I sent home in your learning packet. I put a different version on my website that's a little easier to follow. Please discuss the story with an adult, and I also want you to draw your favorite Egyptian god. So first, let's walk through the main gods that are involved in this story. Well, first we need to know what a myth is. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, a myth is a traditional story, especially one concerning an early history of people or explaining some natural or social phenomena, and typically involving supernatural beings or events. I kind of like to define myths as stories that people used to believe. And in this myth, one of the main players is Ra. Ra is the very first god. He is the sun god. He is the one that was in the egg that hatched and then used the sun to dry up and create land, and he also made all the other Egyptian gods and goddesses. Osiris is a big player in this story. Osiris is the first pharaoh of Egypt. He is Ra's favorite grandson. He's the first pharaoh, he's the first mummy, and he also turns into be the god of the dead. One of his main roles is judging of souls entering the afterlife. So in Egypt mythology, when you died, you had to answer to Osiris. His brother Set was the god of chaos. He's a big player in this story as well. And then we also have Osiris's wife, Isis. She is the first queen of Egypt. She's also the goddess of health, marriage, and fertility. And then Horus was their son, another big player. So if you remember in the story, and Anubis comes into play a little bit. Anubis oversaw the embalming or the making of mummies. That was his role as a god. And he steps in to help Isis, if you remember. So in our story, Ra decided that his favorite grandson, Osiris, should be the first pharaoh. And after Osiris became pharaoh, his brother Set became enraged and envious and jealous and tore Osiris into 14 pieces and spread him out all over Egypt. I know, man, that's so gross and so violent. I hope you get along with your siblings a lot better than Set and Osiris got along. When Isis heard this, she was heartbroken and crushed. She did not know what to do. She was at a loss, so she found Anubis, and together Isis and Anubis worked together to put Osiris back together and try to bring him back to life. And if you see on the scales in front of Anubis, there's a heart and a feather. One of Anubis's main jobs is to place the heart on the scales of justice so Osiris can see if you get to go into the afterlife or not. But back to our story. Isis and Anubis put Osiris back together, making him the first mummy, and Ra cannot let him come back to life. Instead, he makes Osiris the god of the underworld and the one that judges the souls of the dead before they enter the afterlife. And Horus, Osiris' son, catches wind of this, and he becomes enraged and furious, and he goes and attacks his uncle Set, and they battle it out, and Horus reigns victorious, rightfully claiming the throne that once belonged to him. And then there is Horus as pharaoh. Now, I know this is a rather violent and tragic tale, but I want you to think about it. Can you think about a story that you're probably well familiar with, where a king is killed by his brother, and then the son of the original king seeks revenge? I'll give you a second to think about it. Did anybody come up with a story that you might be familiar with, where a king is killed by his jealous brother, and then the king's son, once it grows up, attacks the brother who stole the throne to claim his rightful ownership? That is right, ladies and gentlemen. The story of the Lion King is ripped straight from the tales of ancient Egypt, play by play. And despite the award-winning soundtrack by Elton John and the cute characters, The Lion King is a story that celebrates revenge and makes revenge a heroic quality. Now, you being rather mature and grown up, I'm sure you understand it's just a story. But The Lion King is shown to very, very small children. And I really wonder the ethics of Disney in promoting violence and revenge rather than love and forgiveness in their storytelling. So I hope as you grow and our future starts telling different stories, I hope we can tell stories that celebrate forgiveness and acceptance and love over vengeance and pursuit of glory. Thank you for your time and attention. Please have fun drawing your favorite god from ancient Egypt and take a moment to take care of yourself and maybe somebody else.